I want to start by reading a proverb from Proverbs chapter 12, verse 26. It says, "The righteous choose their friends carefully, but the way of the wicked leads them astray." Have you ever gotten into trouble because you followed a friend's lead? I know I have. Back in middle school, I once made a decision that I knew wasn't the best. And we snuck onto school property, and I was rollerblading on the roof. The whole reason I did this was because I wanted one of my friends to include me and like me more. And it was a really stupid choice. And I thought it was fun, but the consequences definitely weren't the best for me. That's the thing about friends. They influence us, sometimes for the better and sometimes not so much. Sure, life has situations that we can't control, like when our bus breaks down, or your phone screen cracks, or your team loses because the ref made a bad call. But a lot of what happens in our lives comes from our choices that we make. And many times those choices are shaped by the people that we allow to surround us. Maybe a friend dared you to cheat on a test, or convinced you to stay out later than you were supposed to, or encouraged you to be unkind to somebody. On the flip side, maybe a friend encouraged you to try out for a team, or helped you study for a test, or challenged you to do the right thing when it was hard. That's why Solomon, one of the wisest people who ever lived, wrote the proverb, "The righteous choose their friends carefully, but the way of the wicked leads them astray." And I want to break that down. Righteous simply means living the way that God wants us to live, making choices that are right and good, not just for ourselves, but for others. Righteous people think about the kind of friends that they allow to influence them. They surround themselves with people who help them stay on track. And wicked in this verse is just the opposite. It's talking about people who make poor choices and lead others in the wrong direction. You've probably seen this happen. The more time that you spend with troublemakers, the more likely they are to get caught up in trouble themselves. Now, here's the reality. You can't control everybody that you're around. You'll have classmates, teammates, and neighbors who aren't always making the best decisions, but you can choose who gets to be the closest to you, the ones whose words and actions have the biggest influence on your life. Think about your friendships like three circles. You have an inner circle. These are your close friends, the one or two people you trust the most to have the greatest influence on you. And then the second one is the middle circle. These are good friends that you like spending time with, but they aren't as close as your inner circle. And then you have an outer circle. These are more like acquaintances, people you hang out with in class, at practice, or in your neighborhood, but you're not super close to them. All of your friends matter, but the ones in your inner circle are the ones that are going to shape you the most. That's why it's important to choose them wisely. And I have two ways that will help you do that. First, choose your people carefully. Not everyone should have a front row seat to your life. Look for friends who are trustworthy, consistent, and who encourage you to make choices that line up with God's best for you. Spend the most time with your closest people. You don't have to cut off their friendships, the other friendships, but make sure that the people that you spend the most time with are pointing you in towards good things. The truth is, your closest friends will influence the direction of your life, whether you realize it or not. So ask yourself this question: is this friend good for me right now? Is their influence moving me towards the person that I want to be? Solomon's wisdom is still true today. Choose your friends carefully. The people closest to you should help you make the decisions that lead you towards the best possible life, the one that God designed for you. Have a beautiful week, everybody.